So I've defined this struct called calorie count. It's a struct that basically stores a number of calories. It has one member, which is a floating point number called value, which contains the actual quantity of calories. And there's a constructor, a property to expose the value, and a toString method which displays the number followed by the abbreviation cal. Presumably, if you were implementing this struct in a real project, you'd have an instance of calorie count as a member field in the food class. You'd probably also have some other functionality in calorie count, otherwise there'd be no advantage in creating this type over just using a floating point number directly. But what we've written here is good enough to demonstrate implementing IComparableT. It should be clear that there is a very obvious natural way of ordering calorie counts. Just use the value field, so we compare instances by the number of calories, so that, for example, 300 calories is less than 400 calories. And that means that calorie count is very suitable for implementing comparisons. And if I go back to the main method, I've added some code that instantiates a couple of calorie counts and tries to compare them with the display order method we wrote a while back. But we see squiggly lines. This code doesn't compile. And this rather long-winded error message basically says that calorie count doesn't implement IComparableT, so it doesn't meet the constraint on the generic method. And I also have a line that tries to compare two calorie counts directly with a less than operator. And you can see that doesn't compile either, because the operator is not yet defined for calorie count. Let's fix those two issues. I'll declare that calorie count implements IComparableCalorie count. And I'll ask Visual Studio to implement the interface. That obviously gives me just one method, compareTo, and now I'll paste in a real implementation. I'm following the principle here of making my life easy by reusing what Microsoft has already written. We know that float implements IComparableFloat with its compareTo method, so the easiest thing is just to call that method against the value field and return whatever it returns. As an extra benefit, that means I don't have to worry about remembering the convention for the sign of the returned value. Oh yes, that's it. I'm always forgetting which way round should return the positive or negative number and having to look it up. But I know that floats.compareTo will get it right, whichever it is.